Hey guys, hopefully everyone is doing well. Today's target is to solve question number 4. As you have in your mind that first part of this question was completed and absorption costing all answers we had already solved. Here there was first answer, and then you have completed your second statement, then third statement, and then fourth statement you have completed, and all related answers to absorption costing was completed. This was in your part A lecture, and now we are starting marginal costing, and we will be making 4 different statements as we are involved in 4 time periods. Per month is given over here. So let's start. We are going to make our first statement over here, and this would be income statement related to marginal costing. So what we will do here, we will make our income statement for marginal costing, and since we are associated with per month, months are not mentioned, so this would be for your first month. Under marginal costing we need to have sales, and then you will subtract your variable cost only, and this variable cost will have opening stock, and then we will add our production cost, we'll subtract our closing stock, and we will see if there are extra variable expense if in the question. By subtracting variable cost from sales, we can get our net margin. In this way, we will complete half part of the question. Then we need to subtract all types of fixed cost, whatever the methodology is, whatever the concept is. If it is fixed cost, you will write over here. Then we'll be able to calculate, it was our contribution margin, and then we will finally calculate net margin, and this net margin would be calculated by subtracting fixed cost from contribution margin. So in this way our statement would be completed, and as usual there are units and per units which would be written over here. We will write units and then per unit, small amount, and main amount would be written here. So let's go back to the question, and we are starting from here. There is no beginning inventory, so at opening you can put 0. Unit produced 17,500, you can put unit completed 17,500, and then you can see ending inventory is again nil, put 0 over here. Okay, and units sold are also 17,500. In this way, unit side has been completed. Go back to the question and see sale price is 10 per unit. Sale price we can write over here. Now please focus. This is the major difference in between margin and absorption costing. You need to have variable cost only. Go back to the question, and this is variable cost. Please focus. This total 6.0 is variable, and in absorption costing we had added fixed cost as well. But in marginal costing we need only variable cost, which is 6. So you can put 6 over here, and as you know, per unit cost of opening stock would be similar to per unit of production cost and closing stock. In this way, units and per unit is completed for variable cost. We will now see if there is any extra variable expenses present in the question, and since we have already done half part of the question and we know that there are variable marketing expenses per month mentioned over here. Variable marketing expenses. No matter it is marketing, selling, admin, or direct variable cost, we will always be collecting each and every type of variable expense. For first month it is 3400. So what we will do, extra variable expenses would be put over here. These are marketing expenses. In absorption costing, we do write marketing expenses after calculation of gross profit. But here in marginal costing, we write all types of variable expenses before contribution margin. Okay. So we are now going to see if there is any fixed cost. Yes, in question there are two types of fixed costs present over here. First, these fixed marketing expenses 60,000 per year, and obviously you do not need per year, you need to have it per month. If your fixed cost per year is given as 60,000, so you need to make it per month. For per month, what you will do, 60,000 is for whole year, you need to divide it by 12 to get per month. Now put it on your calculator, 60,000 divided by 12. So we have 5,000 fixed cost as per month. So this was needed. Now we can open to write fixed cost, first fixed cost as 5,000. And there is another fixed cost which was mentioned over here. Fixed overhead 3 lakh per year, rate is 1.25. And as you know that our capacity is 20,000 per month and fixed rate is 1.25. So you will calculate second fixed cost as units 20,000 and per unit was 1.25. In this way, second fixed cost would be calculated units 20,000 and multiply 1.25. You have now you will be asking a question, in this particular month we have made 17,500 units. Why we are taking 20,000 or 25,000 fixed cost? Because as you know, if you will make 17,000, 20,000, 25,000, 5,000, more, less, equal, your fixed cost will never be altered. If it is 25,000 for 20,000, it would remain same for 17,000 or 20,000 or 10,000. More or less, increase or decrease in number of units, fixed cost would always be similar. So this was also your fixed cost. There were two types. Now you can see that cost section is completed for fixed cost and variable cost section is also completed. All units are mentioned, all per units are mentioned. Sale is also completed. It's time to calculate the amount. Amount of sale would be calculated by multiplying units 17,500 and per unit 10. So this way amount of sale arrived in outer column. We will go to inner column to calculate opening stock. Since no number of units are present at opening stock, so it would be 0. Now let's calculate production cost. Number of units 17,500, per unit was 6. Production cost is here. Closing stock, number of units are 0. So it means closing stock will remain 0. Here we can calculate our total variable cost. There are 4 elements related to it and we will follow the signs: add, less, and since it is variable expense, so we need to write down add because it's your cost. Okay, so let's start. We have opening stock at start and then we need to add what production cost. This is your production cost. Then you need to less what your closing stock, and then you need to add your variable expenses. So in this way your total variable cost has been arrived. It's time to calculate contribution margin, which is difference between variable cost and sales. Amount of sale 175, you will subtract variable cost 108. This way you have calculated your contribution margin. And now we will calculate all fixed costs. There are two elements present in fixed cost, 25,000 and 5,000. And I'm requesting you to please rewind the lecture and understand how we have calculated 25, how we have calculated 5,000. 5,000 is mentioned over here, and in question it was mentioned 20,000 total unit, 1.25 fixed. So this fixed cost will remain fixed for every part of the question, no matter number of unit increased or decreased. So in this way we have calculated our total fixed cost. It's time to calculate our net margin, which is difference between fixed cost and contribution margin. Your contribution margin was 666 and you need to subtract your fixed cost, which is 30,000. So this way you have calculated your net margin, which is 36,600. It is net margin for marginal costing first part. Marginal costing first part 36,600. In this way our first part is completed, so we can mark it as completed. Now we are going to start marginal costing for second time period, and little easy for me. What I will do, I will use headings from the previous part and will just change as it is for second period, and right now it is incomplete, and the statement over here was used for the first part, so every number element we don't need now, we will delete it. So it is a ready-made income statement for me, but when you will be doing, what you will do, you will write every element present in income statement again, so there would be a little length. There are other ways to shorten this question, but you will be in complications if you will write everything in a same mixture. So just write down statements separately. Focus upon second part of the question. This is your second part, and we will be focusing upon here. Since there was no closing stock in previous period, obviously there will not be any opening stock as well. Closing stock of previous month is opening stock of next month. This is closing stock for previous month, and same is written over here as opening stock of the next month. Since we are focusing upon second, opening stock is 0. So you will write opening stock 0, and then you see unit produced 21,000. Write down 21,000 unit produced, and then ending inventory 3,000. So put 3,000 over here, and unit sold 18,000. Unit sold 18,000. Every element of these units are given in the question. What is our responsibility? Just to pick from question and write down over here. Units are all completed. Now we will see if it is any variable expense extra is present in your question. And yes, you have an idea. Variable marketing expense for second time period is 3,600. So you will write amount 3,600 over here. We will now be focusing upon fixed costs. There were two types of fixed costs. As you can see, 1.25 and number of units 20,000. It would be remain same for every part of the question, 20,000 units and 1.25. So it means your fixed cost units multiply by per unit 25,000. Look here, this was your first part and you have written same 25,000 while you were producing 17,500 units. And here in second part you are producing 21,000 units. And again you are writing the same fixed cost. So fixed cost will remain same and it would be shared by every time period. And there is another fixed cost which was mentioned over here. Fixed marketing expenses 60,000 per year, since it was for per annum and we have converted it for per month. So 5,000 per month we have already mentioned. This was 5,000. So second fixed cost would be 5,000. And keep it in mind, these two fixed costs will be shared equally in whole of the question. Every part of the question will have same fixed cost 25 and 5. Now we need to put per unit cost. Per unit cost is given in your question. Look at here, sale price per unit 10. It is completed. Now variable cost we need to put per unit variable cost. And per unit variable cost is mentioned over here. Variable cost and total per unit cost is 6. So put 6 in front of opening stock and you have complete understanding. Per unit cost of opening stock would be similar to per unit cost of production and closing stock. Per unit section has also been completed. So let's see if there is anything else. Nothing. All units are completed. Per units are completed. It's time to calculate the amount. First, we will go to the outer column to calculate the amount of sale, which would be calculated by multiplying units 18,000 and per unit 10. Amount of sale is here. Now we will calculate cost of opening stock. Since no number of units, zero number of units are present in opening stock, so it would be 0. Production cost units 21,000. It would be multiplied to per unit 6. This is your production cost. Now we will calculate closing stock 3,000 and it would be multiplied per unit 6. So amount of closing stock has arrived. Every element present in variable cost amount has been completed. So we are open to calculate total variable cost. We will follow these signs: add, less, add. First element is opening stock, then we need to add what production cost, which is 1,26,000, and then we need to subtract closing stock, which is 18,000, and then we need to add variable expenses, which were written over here, 3,600 variable expenses. Total cost has been calculated by adding these four elements. Opening stock plus purchase is 126, less closing stock 18,000, add variable 3,600. It's time to calculate our gross net margin. Net margin is difference between variable cost and sales. Amount of sale is 180 and you need to subtract your variable expenses 111. So we have got our net margin. Now we will calculate total fixed cost. Two elements are present over here, 25,000 and 5,000, which are similar to part 1, and it would be same in part 3rd and 4th as well. 30,000 total fixed cost. It's time to calculate our net margin, which is difference between fixed cost and contribution margin. Contribution margin 68,400 and you will subtract your fixed cost 300 in this way. Total net margin has been calculated and second answer is 38,400 and we have calculated 38,400. So in this way your second part is completed and now we are up to our third part. So here you will choose it and we'll use the same headings for your third part. I will just change the number. We are now going to start third income statement and it will be similar to this except the numbers and amounts, and we are going to delete them. Okay, we are open to calculate numbers now and we'll be focusing for third time period. This is your third time period. Everything is mentioned over here. You do not need to bother how many number of unit at opening or closing. Everything is mentioned openly. So first is number of unit at beginning 3,000. We will write 3,000 over here. And then what is next? Number of units produced 19,000. So you will put 19,000 over here. And then 21,000 units sold. Put 21,000 units sold. You will have to take extra care while writing this. So 1,000 ending inventory. 1000 would be put over here. All units are completed. Extra variable expenses, we will go back in the question and you can see that this is variable. We need to have variable expenses for the third part. 1, 2 and 3. Third part 4000. Variable expenses you can put over here. It's time to see fixed cost. Now I think you have you don't need to go to the book. You have an idea. 20,000 unit is standard capacity. 1.25 is your per unit fixed cost. And what you will do, units multiply per unit. We have got first fixed cost and second fixed cost was calculated over here. 60,000 was given for whole year. We needed to add for a single month divided 12. We have got second fixed cost 5,000. So put over here. In this way, fixed cost section is completed. So you will ask question, we have produced 19,000 units over here, but still we are using 20,000 units for fixed cost. I had told you that fixed cost will remain fixed for every part of the question. No matter if you are producing less number of unit or more number of unit, it would remain same 25,000. Now for per unit cost, let's go back to the question. This is 6 variable cost and you will put variable cost 6 over here and you know it, variable cost for opening stock will be used same per unit variable cost for production and closing stock as well. Go back question and per unit sale price is mentioned over here, which is 10. Okay, so 10 is your selling price. I'm hopeful that everything is completed. Units are written over here, per unit is written over here, costs are completed. So we are now open to calculate the amounts. First we will calculate the sale. Units are 21,000. We need to multiply it with per unit, which is 10. So we have got our amount of sales. Now we will calculate our opening stock amount, which would be calculated by multiplying units 3000 and it would be multiplied by per unit 6. So here we have opening stock amount. Now amount for production. Your units are 19,000 and you need to multiply it with per unit, which is 6 production cost. And now we will calculate closing stock. Number of units multiplied by per unit. Number of units are 1000 and we need to multiply it with per unit, which is 6. So here amount of closing stock has also been arrived. This is your variable expense amount. All cost related to variable is completed. We can calculate total variable cost. How? You will follow these signs: add, less, add, less. So first element is your opening stock. You need to add, put sign plus, what production cost, which is 114, and then you need to subtract, put sign of subtract, what, 6,000. It is your closing stock. Then finally add variable expenses. Variable expenses were 4 and you need to add variable expenses as 4,000. So in this way your total variable cost has been completed. Total variable cost has been completed. Please let me on my switch. Battery is little weak, so I have to switch on. Okay. So let me check again. It can't be like 4. There was no 4 over here. So we need to put opening stock and then we will add production cost, after which we will subtract closing stock and then we need to add variable expenses. So here we have got our total variable cost. We are open now to calculate contribution margin, which is difference between variable cost and sales. Amount of sale 210 and we need to subtract total cost, which is 1,30,000. So we have got 80,000 as our contribution margin. Come over here and calculate your fixed cost in total. There are two elements involved, 25,000, and you need to add second fixed cost 5,000. Total fixed cost is 30,000. It's time to calculate our net margin, which is difference between fixed cost and contribution margin. Your contribution margin is 80,000 and you need to subtract your fixed cost, which is 30,000. So we have got third answer. This is net margin for third period. Marginal costing, third answer, and it is 50,000. And our answer is also 50,000. So it means we have completed third period marginal costing income statement. Since it is completed, so we are going to start fourth income statement, and this is little easy for me. I will pick these headings and will use to make our next statement for fourth period of time. First we will change, it is fourth period income statement, and since these numerics were used for making third, we do not need them now. Let's delete it. Statement would be same. Just by changing the numbers we will make fourth statement over here. Let's go back to the question and see what is in fourth part. This is your fourth part, and first element is your beginning inventory, which is 1000 number of units. So here beginning inventory 1000. Okay, for fourth part, second is 20,000 unit produced. Unit produced, I forgot, 20,000. So 20,000 are number of unit produced. Next is 16,500 units sold. 16,500 units sold. Will have to take care. A single mistake can be a disaster. Ending inventory units 4,500. 4,500 would be put over here. Okay, and variable expenses for fourth period, for which we will go over here. You can see variable marketing expenses are 1, 2, 3, and 4. For fourth period we have 3,000. So 4,000 would be put over here. These are variable expense, sorry, 3,000. When you are going up and down and up and down, so there might be possible something can happen. That is why I was saying care is needed for me as well. Fourth period 3,000 expenses were written. So in this way cost has been completed. It's time to see our per unit cost. In question, per unit cost is given sale price as 10. So put over here. It's time to see variable cost per unit. For every part we have the same per unit. This is your variable cost, and per unit was given in the question 6. This 6 per unit cost would be same for production and closing stock as well. So per unit section and unit section is completed over here. Just come over here and see what is fixed cost. I think we do not need to calculate it. We know it is total 30,000 and 25,000 for first fixed cost, but I will let you know. 20,000 unit, 1.25 fixed cost. How you have taken it? Look at here. 20,000 units were mentioned, and fixed overhead 1.25 was questioned for normal capacity, and it would be same for all number of unit. If fixed cost for 20,000 number of unit you have calculated in fourth part, 20,000 number of unit 1.25, it would be same no matter if you are producing 20,000 less or more. It's time to calculate. Units are 20,000 multiply per unit 1.25, so 25,000 fixed cost. And there is another element of fixed cost which is described over here. Fixed marketing administrative 60,000 per year, for which we have already calculated 60,000 for full year. For 1 month you will divide 12, 5,000 is second fixed cost. So you can write second fixed cost over here. Okay, units are completed. Per units completed, we can calculate the amount. How? Amount of sale will be calculated by multiplying units, and per units are 16,500. It would be multiplied by per unit cost, which is per unit sale price 10. Amount of sale outer column. At inner column we will calculate opening stock units 1000, and it would be multiplied per unit 6. So we have got amount of opening stock. Now let's calculate production cost unit 20,000. It would be multiplied per unit 6. So we have got our production cost. Now closing stock units 4500. It would be multiplied per unit 6. All cost section is also completed. Opening stock, production cost, closing stock, and extra variable expenses are written over here. It's time to calculate total variable cost, and you will focus upon these signs: add, less, add. First element is opening stock, then you need to add put sign plus. Add what? Your production cost, and then you need to subtract put sign minus closing stock 27,000, and then again add put sign of plus, and your variable expenses are written over here in front. 3,000 were variable expenses. So what we have done: opening stock 6,000 plus production cost 120,000 less closing stock 27,000, add variable expenses 3,000. You have got your total variable expense as 102,000. So in this way we have completed our variable expense. It's time to calculate contribution margin, which is difference between variable cost and sales. Amount of sale was 165. You need to subtract your variable cost, which is 102. In this way contribution margin has been calculated. It's time to see your fixed cost, having two elements. First 5,000, and then you need to add 25,000 second element. Total fixed cost 30,000. We will now calculate our net margin, which is difference between fixed cost and contribution margin. Contribution margin 63,000. You will subtract your fixed cost, which is 30,000. So this way we have net margin as 33,000. Let's check it out. So here fourth answer 33,000, and we have completed our fourth part, and answer is 33,000. Let's review all answer for marginal costing. Margin costing first answer, this is your first part 36,600. So here is your answer 36,600. And for second part I think it is 38,400. For second part 38,400 you have calculated. It's okay. And now third part 50,000. This is your third part, and answer is 50,000. Okay again. And then for fourth part you have 33,000. This is your fourth part, and your answer is 33,000. So answers of all parts now have been completed. In other meanings, we have completed our marginal costing section as well. There were 4 income statement made. All answers are matched. At this point, look at left side. You have made your first income statement for absorption costing, then you have made your second statement, and then you have made your third statement, and then fourth statement is completed. Let's review their answers as well. It is important to review sometimes. 36,600. Here is your answer 36,600 for first part. For second part 42,150. This is your second part, and answer is 42,150. Okay. and then third part 47500. This is your third part and answer is 4750. For fourth part 37375, fourth part 37375. This is your fourth part and answer is 37. Okay. So as you can see that we have reviewed all four answers of absorption, all four answers of marginal costing. It means our question is now 100% completed. In part A, we have completed absorption costing for income statement. In part 2, we have completed marginal costing 4 parts. Question 4 has been completed. Time for 4 is ended. But even if you have any short or long query about solution of this question, you are very open to text. You can WhatsApp, you can call, or whatever the way you can communicate. I will surely be available instantly for your answers. For the time being, lecture time has been ended. We will be meeting again for solution of question number 5 inshallah. Up till then, please take care of yourself. I am requesting you to please pray for me as well. It's time to say goodbye. Thank you very much for your time. Allah Hafiz.